It's one of the oldest and most terrifying creatures ever mentioned in human history. A beast so powerful, ancient texts say it cannot be killed by any weapon made by man. Its body can twist through the oceans like a living storm. The Bible calls it Leviathan. Leviathan is described as a real force of chaos waiting beneath the deep. And what's strange is it's not alone.
The biblical monster that shouldn't exist, it is older than myth, older than scripture. A name whispered by prophets and feared by kings. Leviathan. The ancient texts describe it not as a legend, but as a living force. A beast of the sea that no weapon can pierce, no man can slay, and no army can withstand. Its breath ignites fire. Its scales are armor. Its body twists through the oceans like a storm-given flesh. And if you believe the Bible, it's not a creature of fantasy, but a real being that once moved beneath the waves. The name Leviathan appears several times throughout the Old Testament, in Job, Psalms, and Isaiah, and every mention paints a creature that is not metaphorical, but terrifyingly physical. The most vivid account comes from the book of Job, one of the oldest writings in the entire Bible. Here, Job is a man broken by suffering. His family is gone, his health destroyed, his faith shattered. He demands answers from God. And in response, God doesn't explain suffering. He reveals power. He speaks not in comfort, but in awe. And at the center of that revelation is Leviathan. In Job chapter 41, God's voice echoes like thunder. Can you pull in Leviathan with a fishhook, or tie down its tongue with a rope? Can you put a cord through its nose or pierce its jaw with a hook? Will it keep begging you for mercy? Will it speak to you with gentle words? And then the description turns apocalyptic. Its snorting throws out flashes of light. Its eyes are like the rays of dawn. Flames stream from its mouth. Sparks of fire shoot out. Smoke pours from its nostrils as from a boiling pot over burning reeds. Its breath sets coals ablaze, and flames dart from its mouth. These are not the words of poetry. They read like an eyewitness account of something vast, breathing heat, moving through the sea as though the ocean itself were alive. Job 41 continues, nothing on earth is its equal. A creature without fear. It looks down on all that are haughty. It is king over all that are proud. For thousands of years, theologians have debated whether this was meant to be symbolic, a parable of chaos, pride, or evil, or whether Job's author was describing something that truly existed. The unsettling part. The text gives no hint that it's a metaphor. In fact, the entire argument hinges on the literal power of creation, proof of forces only God can control. In other words, Leviathan was real enough to humble the proud. And in that moment, it became something larger than a monster. It became a symbol of divine supremacy, the chaos that only God can tame. But the Bible doesn't leave Leviathan there. In Psalms 74:14, the creature returns in another context. It was you who crushed the heads of Leviathan and gave it as food to the creatures of the desert. Now Leviathan isn't just a beast. It's a defeated enemy, a corpse left to feed scavengers. This passage is ancient, older than many realize, and it mirrors something that existed long before the Hebrews wrote their scriptures, the ancient Near Eastern concept of the chaos dragon. In these myths, the world begins in watery chaos. A monstrous sea serpent rises to threaten creation itself. A god of order descends to battle it, slaying the serpent, splitting its body, and using it to build the world. The parallels are chilling. When Psalm 74 says, "You crushed the heads of Leviathan," it echoes almost word for word the Ugaritic and Babylonian texts that describe the storm gods Baal and Marduk slaying serpents named Lotan and Tiamat. Creatures of the sea, chaos incarnate. The Hebrews didn't invent Leviathan, they inherited it, an older nightmare rewritten into their theology. But in their version, it wasn't a storm god who brought order. It was the one true God. Leviathan wasn't just chaos. It was proof that only the divine could master creation. And yet the story grows stranger still, because the Bible doesn't treat Leviathan as dead and gone. In Isaiah 27:1, a prophecy appears that changes everything. In that day the Lord with his great and strong sword will punish Leviathan, the fleeing serpent, Leviathan the twisting serpent, and he will slay the dragon that is in the sea. In that day. Those words are critical, a phrase the prophets used to describe the end of days. Isaiah isn't recounting a myth of the past. He's predicting an event that hasn't happened yet. The text implies that Leviathan, whatever it is, still exists, still sleeps beneath the ocean, and one day it will rise again, only to be slain by God himself. To believers, this isn't just allegory, it's prophecy. And if we step outside Scripture into Jewish oral tradition, things become even more unsettling. In the Midrash and Talmud, Leviathan is treated not as a metaphor, but as a biological reality, a monstrous sea creature of unimaginable size. According to these writings, God created both a male and a female Leviathan, but destroyed the female immediately. Why? Because if they had reproduced, their offspring would have consumed the entire world. Only one was allowed to live, the male, preserved in the depths until the end of time. In that final age, the rabbis say, God himself will slay Leviathan and prepare its flesh as a feast for the righteous. Its luminous skin will be stretched across the heavens to create tents for the holy and the shining walls of Jerusalem. This wasn't a parable. It was a prophecy told with the same seriousness as the coming of the Messiah. For the ancients, Leviathan was not metaphorical chaos. It was physical apocalypse. But here's the question that still divides scholars and believers alike. Why did so many cultures, separated by oceans and centuries, describe the same thing? Because long before the Bible was written, the people of the Middle East, Egypt, Mesopotamia, and even the Arctic North all told stories of a serpent beneath the sea. Some called it Lotan, some Tiamat, some Jörmungandr. But the pattern was always the same. A god of order fighting a dragon of chaos. And across the world, humanity remembered the sea not as a symbol of peace, but as the gate of the unknown, a place of fear, depth, and monsters. So the question remains, was Leviathan a myth or a memory? Because even in Job's time, the ocean was a mystery no man could master. What lived below the waves was invisible, infinite, and often deadly. Giant whales breached from the dark. Massive shapes moved beneath the surface. Sailors watched as waves rose higher than mountains, swallowing ships whole. To the ancient world, that was Leviathan, the untouchable power beneath creation. But modern readers find something else there. The imagery of smoke, fire, and impenetrable scales. Could it describe something volcanic, something natural, something misunderstood? Or was it literal? A biological entity that once ruled the deep. Every age finds its own answer. For the theologian, Leviathan is sin or Satan. For the scientist, it's fossil memory, an echo of prehistoric beasts. But for the ancients, it was something much simpler, a fact of existence, the proof that chaos has a body. And if Scripture is right, that body still waits in the abyss. Because the Bible doesn't end Leviathan's story, it pauses it. In Job, Leviathan lives. In Psalms, it's slain. In Isaiah, it rises again to be killed once more at the end of days. It's not just a monster. It's a cycle, life, destruction, and rebirth. A mirror of creation itself. And if that cycle is real, it means Leviathan's story isn't finished.